Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our discussion tonight. I am Alyson Campbell with Estrela. I'm a college planning consultant. I am the newest member of the Estrela team, so thank you so much for joining us. I also have Theresa Bodnar here with me. She is the recruiting coordinator with the Cleveland Army ROTC. Just real quickly, I'll introduce myself again. Like I said, I'm the newest member to the team. I have been in higher ed for about 7 years. I worked previously at Baldwin-Wallace University. Sorry, John Carroll. But
It's actually part of our program.
I know. I did have some friends that would make that trek 45 minutes from the west side to the east side for ROTC. So I worked in athletics for a number of years. I was a women's basketball coach and the head women's golf coach. And then I worked on the admissions side as an assistant director of admissions for a number of years. And most recently, I worked with Ohio State as an application reviewer. And now I'm just really grateful to be a part of the Estrela team. And when I volunteered to lead tonight's talk, it means a lot to me that we are represented today with the John Carroll Army ROTC, because my brother graduated in 2011 from the John Carroll Wolfpack Battalion. He's a civilian now, but speaks so highly of this program, had such a great experience, was deployed, just really enjoyed his experience and all of the opportunities that it afforded. So I feel like this is near and dear to my heart, and I'm excited to be leading this alongside you tonight. And I want to introduce Theresa Bodnar. Like I said, I have a little bit of a bio. I'm going to read it slowly because there's a lot of, I feel like, long words and some terminology, and you'll probably explain it better than I am, but I will formally introduce you. So Theresa is the recruiting and operations coordinator for the Wolfpack Battalion at John Carroll University in University Heights, Ohio. She is a JCU ROTC alumna, class of 2001, and also a colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve. Theresa is a native of Ashtabula, Ohio, and also was commissioned in the Quartermaster Corps in 2001 after graduating from JCU with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in elementary education. She also holds a master's in organizational leadership from Robert Morris University and a master's of business administration and executive master's in policy administration from Syracuse University. Theresa completed 20 years of active federal service on September 30th, 2021, and is now an individual mobilization augmentee, part-time reservist with the Center of the Strategic Analysis U.S. Army War College. So thank you first and foremost for your service. We are so appreciative, and we appreciate you shedding more light on the ROTC program.
Oh, absolutely, Alyson. I am, like you, so excited to be doing this today. It is also very near and dear to my heart, both ROTC and this program with John Carroll. I mean, this is where it all started for me, and going into it many years ago. I'm 10 years younger or older than your brother. So I graduated in 2001. So I've been, a product of the program, a product of the Army for a very long time. And I have to say that it's probably been the best decision I've made in my life to do ROTC and to join the Army. There has been a tremendous amount of opportunities that I've had just through that program. So I want to talk a little bit about my background first, because I think that'll give a good perspective of why I'm so excited about all this. So when I was in high school, I really wanted to go to John Carroll, and I was getting recruited to play softball. And my parents worked in the school system. So my mom was a high school guidance counselor, and the recruiters would come in and they would talk to her about the Army and about Army ROTC all the time. And so that was how I was exposed to the ROTC program. And my mom said, hey, if you want to consider this, there's an opportunity for you to serve your country, to earn a scholarship, and just to have this very different lifestyle. And, as a young high school student, I mean, I still really wanted that. Like, I wanted to live and do different things. And the Army just seemed like such an incredible opportunity for me to try. So, my senior year in high school, I applied for an ROTC scholarship. And I was lucky enough to have gotten a 4-year scholarship to John Carroll. And one of the things that I appreciated most about that scholarship was that even though I thought ROTC in the Army was what I wanted to do, those 4-year scholarships, if you get one, the first year is kind of trial. So you can try out the first year, be involved in ROTC, see if it's something that you really want to do, and then make your decision, after that, for sure.
Okay.
So it gave me the flexibility to try the program. So I went in with an open mind and open heart, and I loved it. I loved the people that I worked with. I loved the curriculum, and I just felt like I found my place in the program. And I still have so many friends that I went to school with in ROTC that I stay in contact with. And so I went through the program. It was a wonderful program, kept me physically fit, connected. I learned so much. And then it really did prepare me for my job in the Army as an officer. So when you graduate and get commissioned, you're a second lieutenant in the Army, and you pretty much go into a management position. So my first leadership management position was I was in charge of a warehouse. I was a logistics officer, and that was something unique and different. I did that for about a year, and then I got pulled up to do some human resources work, which was really something that was also very interesting to me. And I also got to do my first assignment in Germany. And when I had done ROTC, that was like one of the things that was on my radar is I want to go active duty. I want to go to Germany. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out a way to, I found a way to get there. So that was my first assignment. I loved it. And the thing is with my ROTC commitment, my active duty commitment was 4 years, so I did my 4 years over in Germany. And at that time, I didn't know if I really wanted to continue or not. So I ended up taking a break and going into what's called an inactive status for about 6 months.
Okay.
And then I ended up joining the Army Reserve. And I've been with the Army Reserve since then. And I've been mobilized for 2 years. And I've been an active Guard reservist I was an active Guard reservist for 14 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
what
Okay.
that is it's pretty much active duty, except you're assigned to reserve or Guard units. So I got to teach ROTC at University of Pittsburgh while in that status. I worked at the Pentagon for 10 years doing budget programming and analysis. That was mainly my job with the Army, was to do that. The Army paid for my undergraduate degree. They sent me to grad school while I was actively serving at Syracuse to get that dual master's you talked about. I've had so many unique opportunities that I could only have, if I have done ROTC in the Army. And I am incredibly grateful, for everything that I've been able to do. And it doesn't even stop at those 20 years of active service. I mean, I was ready to retire 2 years ago.
Okay.
And the same day that I accepted this job at John Carroll, I found out that I was getting promoted to colonel. So,
Wow.
and I was burned out kind of from doing 20 years on active, and I decided to go into the part-time reserve status. And working with the Army War College has actually been a dream come true to me. I went to school to be a teacher. So the fact that I got to teach ROTC, the fact that I've got to support the highest level of military education, which is the Army War College, for the past 2 years has been fantastic. And then I'm actually going back to the Pentagon soon to stand up a new office with the Army Reserve called the Data Integration Office. So it's the next new thing for the Army, is becoming a more data-centric Army. So my background with resourcing is actually a fit for that. So, I mean,
that's amazing.
Just the opportunities have been there, and they have been amazing. And I can't not say just how grateful I am for everything that the Army has done for me.
Definitely. I feel like my brother feels the same way about his time with the military and with the Army, and he really loved the travel component. I mean, he was ready and prepared for the deployment piece, which I wouldn't necessarily call that travel, but even as an undergraduate at John Carroll, he did a lot of really amazing travel opportunities. He went to Eastern Europe for a few weeks during the summer. He went to Mount McKinley and worked in the base in Alaska for like 6 weeks during the summer. And he just, even said, this is a way to see the world. I am just able to see different cultures. I'm able to meet new people. I do all sorts of different types of jobs, as an ROTC cadet.
Well,
And
yeah, as a cadet, like what you're telling me is he was involved in some type of cultural awareness training. So as an ROTC cadet, you can do that. That's fantastic that he got to go overseas and do that. His time at the military base in Alaska sounds like the Cadet Troop Leadership Training Program, which is a way to send cadets out to active duty installations, and it gives them an opportunity to shadow another second lieutenant, which is the kind of position that they're going to be in once they get commissioned. So it's a great opportunity. In addition, there's also internships in schools that cadets can go to. So if cadets are interested in airborne school and air assault school, there's something called mountain warfare school that they could go to. We had 2 cadets this summer that went and did internships. One was with the FBI doing forensics. The other one was working with DARPA, which is, I forget what the acronym stands for right now, but they do the invest in the technology for the Army and experimentation. So it was just really awesome, different things that only cadets had the opportunity to do.
yeah, that's great. I mean, it is a world of opportunity. And I think that's, one of the biggest reasons why I invited you to speak with us tonight, because if you've been to a campus and you just see the ROTC kids, like they're up super early, they're in their fatigues, like there is so much more to it. There's so much opportunity, financially, with your career, with the diversity of what you're going to be able to do or pursue, and like really play at your strengths. So for those people that are on here or going to be watching it later, can you just tell us what the ROTC acronym means and just what is the program?
Yeah.
Just a little
So
overview of that.
ROTC stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps. So I want to start off by saying what it isn't first. So some people may be aware of junior ROTC. Junior ROTC is a program in high school that is designed to teach good citizenship to high school students. Okay. The ROTC that I'm going to be representing is the senior ROTC program. So senior ROTC program is the Reserve Officer Training Program at colleges and universities across the United States. The purpose of that program is to prepare you to be an officer in the Army upon graduation. So there is a specific military focus to the ROTC program. Now, there is also not only Army ROTC, there's Navy ROTC, there's Air Force ROTC at different colleges and universities. So I want to say that, each service has their own Reserve Officer Training Corps program. And what I'm going to speak to is the Army's program. So the Army's program is designed, again, to prepare you to be an officer in the Army upon graduation. ROTC in general, what it is, it's a college course. So it's a regular elective course that students take, designed to be taken a class per semester throughout their bachelorate degree, with the ultimate goal of being prepared to commission with that curriculum. Now, in addition to that, students do leadership lab. So the class is really focused on material with students in your age group or your class. And then the leadership lab is when all of the students in ROTC at a school come together and do training together. So it's a collective training piece. There's also a physical training component to it. So we do physical training 3 days a week because you have to be fit in order to be in the military. Right? Yes. So that's absolutely part of what we do. In addition, there's a field training exercise once a semester. So that's an opportunity for all the cadets in the program to go out into a reservation. So we go to the Ravenna Arsenal, and they'll, sleep overnight, do land navigation. They might do some rifle marksmanship. They do squad tactics, which is the type of baseline material soldier skills that all cadets receive in order to graduate. So it's your basic soldier skills. So taken into stride all of that, that's what the program does. Now, in order to make sure that you're qualified to commission, there's a camp that you go to the summer after your junior year where that tests and trains you on everything that you've learned in ROTC. So
Okay.
you'll go out and you'll do the land navigation training exercises. They'll put you in leadership positions, and they will basically give you a score, and that's how you are assessed. So you basically come back your senior year and you say, oh, do I want to go, active duty? Do I want to go into the Reserve or National Guard? What branch? There's 17 different branches or specialties that an ROTC graduate can go into. So
Okay.
it's things like range from like infantry, military police, human resources, logistics, cyber is the newest branch,
Okay.
intelligence. There's a lot of different areas that they can go into. And then they serve for a period of time in the Army or Army Reserve. So that's the basic program without it taking into consideration all the financial benefits that you can get. So we'll
Yes.
go back to that because the program in itself is a phenomenal program. And we have students that do the program without any kind of scholarship benefit. And if they do that, then contracting with the program, you get $420 a month. So there's
Okay.
that.
So that would be if you're like an incoming freshman at John Carroll or one of the affiliate schools, and you just want to kind of test it out and see, but you didn't receive any.
No. You have to contract. So
Okay.
students can take the class for the first 2 years without contracting, just
Okay.
to see what it's like, to try it out. There's no commitment unless they want to commit.
Okay.
And unless they want to apply for a scholarship.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thanks for clarifying that.
yes, no problem. So ROTC scholarships. First, I'm going to tell you what they're worth and what the commitment is, and then we'll go into a couple of ways that you can get one.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So ROTC scholarships are worth full tuition and fees, $1,200 a year for books, and a monthly stipend of $420 to a school that has an ROTC program or is affiliated with an ROTC program. The commitment, if you complete the ROTC program and get commissioned, can be served in a number of ways. If you choose to go on active duty and compete for active duty, it is a competition. You have to interview. If there's a process associated with it. But if you go active duty, the active duty commitment is 4 years.
Okay.
And then the remaining 4 of the contract can be served in an inactive status, which just means your name is on a list, and if the Army needs you, they call you up. Or
Okay.
you can decide to continue on active duty for the rest of that time, or you can consider going to the Army Reserve or National Guard and drilling. But the active duty commitment part of that is 4 years.
Okay, so 8 years total.
If you are on scholarship, right? If you are if you're on scholarship, you get commissioned and you decide you want to serve in the Army Reserve or National Guard, so you don't want to go active duty, then your commitment is 8 years as a drilling member of the Reserve or National Guard.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you are someone who maybe applies as a high school senior and you are awarded a scholarship, but maybe you make it 2 years and you decide this is not for me, what is the ramifications for someone who might not complete all 4 years?
Okay. Can I start with the high school scholarship process and then move into that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the high school scholarship process is basically how you can get an ROTC scholarship at a high school. It is a process that you would apply for online at goarmy.com. And the window for that opens up June 12th, the summer after your junior year of high school. So in order to apply for that scholarship, you go online and you start an application. They're going to ask you a few things. You have to be a citizen in order to apply. They're going to ask you for your grades. So you need to have at least a 2.5 to apply. You have to take an ACT or SAT.
Okay.
You have to take a physical fitness test, which is 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of sit-ups, and a 1-mile run. And then you do an interview with a professor of military science. So an ROTC, the person who oversees an ROTC program at the university closest to where you live.
Okay.
and you go do an interview with them. Once you complete all of that, then your packet is considered board ready. And there are 3 times a year that the National High School Scholarship Board meets. The first one is in October, the second is in January, and the third is in March.
Okay.
So what the advice that I give to any students that are applying is apply early. And there's a reason for that. One, the October board, not very many people are ready for that. So the number of applications aren't as fast.
Okay.
So that's a good opportunity for you. Now, if you didn't get awarded a scholarship off of that first board, you still have basically an overall ranking score for your application. And so when the next 2 boards come out and students, go through the boarded process, you are still aligned against everyone else who is applying. So
Okay.
if there's more scholarships that get handed out and you are above like the cut line, and because your score is good, then you can get offered a scholarship at the second or the third board.
Okay.
So it benefits you for applying early. The other thing that I would say is make sure if you know what school that you want to go to that has an ROTC program, that you start talking to someone who's in my position. And the reason why I say that is because when the board process is complete, let's say you did not make it through the board, you did not get offered a scholarship, and you're pretty sad about that. Well, sometimes schools get scholarships that they can offer students.
Okay.
So this past year, I was given 2 ROTC scholarships that I could award to any students that were incoming freshmen. So
Okay.
of course, the top of my list is going to be the people who I've talked to, right?
Demonstrated interest.
Absolutely. So that's going to be your best bet, is to go with that. Now, ROTC scholarships through the national process come out in 2 types: 4-year scholarships and what's called 3-year advanced designee scholarships.
Okay.
The difference is that the 3-year advanced designee scholarships don't start until your sophomore year. So depending on what school you go to, you may have to pay for the first year of school.
Okay.
And then the Army will kick in your sophomore through your senior years. And you wouldn't actually contract until your sophomore year under the 3-year advanced designee scholarship. Now, what's good about that is it gives you the first year to try it out. Because
Yes.
you still have to take the ROTC courses, you still have to participate. It just gives you a chance to say, hey, is this for me? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's the 3-year advanced designee. Now I'll go back and say, with some schools, and I'll say John Carroll as an example, if we have a student has a 3-year advanced designee scholarship and I identify them to the school, John Carroll will throw in the first year tuition. So it's actually like a 4-year scholarship, except the school is paying 1 year and the Army is paying the remaining 3.
May I ask a question real fast?
Sure.
About,
Yeah.
How this aligns with the admission to the college to which you're applying to? So I'm assuming that this is something separate. So would you have to apply to John Carroll or Baldwin Wallace or Case Western Reserve? Would you have to apply to them first and then you can move forward with an ROTC scholarship?
You're doing it concurrently.
Okay.
So through the application process, there is an opportunity for you to identify 7 schools that you are interested in going to that have an ROTC program. So at the time that you are submitting your application for the ROTC, you should also simultaneously be applying, if you haven't already, to these schools that you're interested in.
Okay.
Now, let's say you you go through the process and you get awarded a scholarship to a school that you haven't applied for. There is the opportunity to transfer the scholarship to a school that you've been accepted to.
Okay. That makes sense. That's a good thought.
The thing is you may get multiple offers. So, you're allowed to list 7 schools. You might get offers to 3. And what I tell students is if you are offered a scholarship and you're offered to 3 separate schools and you haven't yet committed to any school, you need to accept the scholarship to the highest cost school. And the reason is because it's a reservation of funds. So the Army will be tracking a certain amount, that will be dedicated for your scholarship. And so it gives you the flexibility of going to a school that is basically at that tuition level or lower.
Okay, so like for example, like a Case Western, a sticker
Exactly.
price would be
So I tell my
$80,000.
students, if you get offered, to Case in some other state school, accept a Case first. If you don't know where you're going, if you know you're going to some other school, accept, decline and then transfer it to the school that you want to go to, or accept at the school you want to go to. But if you're still going through the decision process, accept at the higher cost school.
And these 7 schools can be, so it's a national portal. So you could apply to like Texas A&M and Cal State, and it doesn't have to be all Cleveland based.
No, you can apply across the United States.
Okay. It's very good. I don't see any questions in the Q&A yet. And we have about 4 more minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
We're kind of like working in reverse. I feel like we're checking off all the things on my agenda, but just in a different order. So you're doing a great job.
Thanks. So I talked about 3-year advanced designee scholarships as one of the types of scholarships you can get from the National Board. The other scholarship that you can get from the National Board is the 4-year scholarship. So the 4-year scholarship, is for all 4 years. Now, the point that I wanted to make, going back to what if you decide you don't want to do it? So for the 4-year scholarship, you can take the scholarship, you can accept, and you can contract your freshman year for that scholarship. And then as long as you decide prior to the start of your sophomore year that it's not something that you want, there's not a penalty. So there's that, right, okay, I can figure this out. If I get a scholarship coming off the National Board, I have a year to kind of figure it out. Now, if you're in the ROTC program for longer than that, like if you start the process and you go through and you complete your sophomore year, your junior year, your senior year on scholarship, and then decide that that's not something that you want to do anymore, then there is consequences for that. So they can force you to pay all of the tuition money back, which is be a huge loan.
Yeah.
Or they can put you on active duty in an enlisted status.
Okay. That's really good to know. I really like that. I did not know that about the kind of 1-year trial, because I do. We work at Estrela with so many wonderful families and students, but to keep in mind, they're 16 and 17-year-olds. And, maybe their exposure to the military is what they've seen on TV or in a movie. And then when they're out at the Ravenna Arsenal, sleeping for 48 hours with, in the rain or in the cold or whatnot. And I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Right.
So I appreciate that there is a little bit of flexibility and some grace for those students, and they're not tied into it. And then they feel, almost like an athlete is, where an athlete, they accept a scholarship, but they're kind of miserable and they don't think that this is the school or the program for them, but they don't want to be financially hampered by that. So.
Right. Yeah. It's a big commitment. So, there's definitely a big breath you can take knowing that it's something that you can try out.
That's great. Let me see here. So when you said you recommended for seniors that are interested in this program to start really getting their applications probably by now, because you said the first wave is in October, and to go to goarmy.com. And do you feel like reaching out to their high school counselor would be a good resource for them to get the process started, or to reach out to someone like you?
Probably to reach out to someone like me would probably be the easiest thing. Now, I can provide you to send out to all the watchers a little bit later what I send to high school students or parents that contact me for about interest in the national process. So I have a handout that has the link to the Go Army website. There's a video that you can watch. That's a YouTube video that shows you how to fill out the application. I have another one that has all the important dates for this year listed. So that could be a very helpful, useful tool for anyone who's interested in applying this year.
That would be great. We would love to have that. And definitely when we send out the recording, we can add that attachment as well, so people have it and they can download it. So, well, this has been great. I really appreciate it. I feel like that 30 minutes went so fast. Is there anything?
Oh my gosh, I
I
didn't
know,
realize
it's
it.
30 already. Like I said, I feel like we pretty much checked off all the things on my list. And I think like one of my other questions was telling me about the professional opportunities and the travel, but I feel like you did such a great job of that with your own experience. So you didn't have to explain it as an ROTC cadet. You explained it as yourself and how you got to take advantage of that. And it's such a great opportunity with the skyrocketing cost of college right now. For the students that, you know, or the families that really have this weighing over their head, and they are strong leaders, they love their country, they would be such an asset to a program like this. Like, this is a great thing to really keep in the forefront of their mind. So I appreciate you shedding so much light and information about this. I think this will be really helpful.
Well, thank you, Alyson. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And
No problem.
I know that you're going to send out some contact information as
Yes.
well. And if anybody has a question that's online, I'd be happy to be a resource.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned earlier that the chat was disabled, but we had the Q&A. We don't have any Q&As. Oh, we do. We have one Q&A. Here we go. Do you have to take ASFAB?
The ASVAB? No, you do not.
Okay.
You do not. The ASVAB is if you were going to enlist in the Army. So the ROTC process is separate from the typical enlistment that you are thinking of. There's not a requirement for the ASVAB. The requirement, and I'm going to talk about high school students who are entering the ROTC program, if they want to contract or get a scholarship with us, is having an ACT or an SAT score.
Okay.
Now, if they want to try out the first year of the program and then join ROTC afterwards, let's say they haven't taken an ACT or SAT, then once you hit the sophomore year, they use your college GPA instead. So that's, yeah.
Thank you. That was a good question. We have one more. We have two more. Okay, so can students apply who have used testing accommodations or who have had therapy or counseling during their high school years, like the academies?
So I would say you should apply. You should apply because what we want to say is that we'll give, once you apply and you get offered a scholarship, there's another process that you have to go through prior to contracting, which is the medical process. So they'll send you to a contracted doctor that will review your medical history and consider all of those things that you might share. And then at that point, they would decide whether or not you have a disqualifying condition or not. There have been students that have had accommodations that have been able to join the ROTC program, but it is a very individual thing where I can't give you a hard and fast in terms of an absolute yes. So what I'm saying is apply and then let them go through the process, because let the medical reviewers look at it. They may initially disqualify, but then there's also a waiver process where for certain conditions, you know, the ROTC higher headquarters, the surgeon that's attached to them will look at your file and to see, you know, how severe is this disqualifying condition, and is it such that we could give you a medical waiver and you can still join the program. So don't not apply is what I'm saying.
That's very helpful. Don't disqualify yourself.
Exactly.
The question asker said, thank you. That was so helpful. Okay. And then our last one is, what is the required SAT or ACT score?
There is not. So there used to be a minimum. There used to be a minimum of 19 on your ACT and 1100 on your SAT. There is no longer any minimums. There's just a qualification to take one or the other. Now, the different question is, what's a competitive score, right? So you have to take the ACT or SAT. There's no minimum requirement, but the averages change from year to year. What I typically say is to be competitive would be a 25 or higher on the ACT and like a 1200 or higher on the SAT.
Okay.
But those aren't hard and fast either. Those are just averages, right? Of prior people that have applied and been offered a scholarship.
Great. Awesome questions. Thank you all for participating and dropping those in the Q&A for us. So, well, again, I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. It's a nice night. I'm sure people are ready to go and check this out, but we'll definitely send the recording out. Thank you so much, Theresa. It was great meeting you. I appreciate all of your insight and best of luck on your next endeavor next month. That sounds exciting.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Alyson. Thank you, everybody. Pleasure to be here.